In this election, we each face a question. What kind of country do we want to live in? There are some people who think we should be a country of chaos, of fear, of hate. But us? We choose freedom.
Elon Musk shared a strong message about the importance of the 2024 presidential election as he raised concerns about President Biden's leadership and questioned if Kamala Harris is the right choice for the future. Musk believes that both Biden and Harris lack the influence needed to stand up to dangerous world leaders. Could Musk be hinting at deeper issues America might face in the coming years? Let's dive into his words and reveal hidden truths that will reshape the global landscape for the upcoming years. Musk's shocking warning about Harris. Elon Musk is raising concerns about how Kamala Harris is being depicted in the political sphere. He's worried that she's being shown as a moderate leader, which he disagrees with, arguing that her political stance is much further to the left than most people realize. Musk fears that if Harris were to take charge, the consequences could be severe for the United States. He describes this possibility as a huge problem and is genuinely worried about the direction the country could head if she were in leadership. He emphasizes how crucial the next election is and strongly believes that Donald Trump needs to win to safeguard the country's future. But what shocking detail about Kamala Harris's future plans has Elon Musk been keeping hidden? Stay tuned as we reveal more later. Musk has shared that he got a letter from the European Commission recently. The letter warned him about spreading false information during political discussions. He's not happy with the Biden administration. He expected them to be more centered, politically moderate. But now he sees a risk that if Harris were to become president, the U.S. would shift even more towards the left. Musk brings up Harris's background, mentioning that she was raised by a Marxist economist, which he thinks plays a big role in how she approaches politics and policymaking. He warns everyone that the U.S. is at a crucial turning point. The choices made by voters in the next election could lead the country towards growth and success, or down a path of decline. Previously, Musk's own political views have been moderate, even leaning a bit to the left. But he sees this election as a turning point and is throwing his full support behind Trump. He believes that any other outcome could be damaging to the country's progress. Musk talks about common-sense policies that he thinks most Americans would support. Things like keeping cities safe and clean, securing the country's borders, spending government money wisely, and maintaining respect in the courts. He's confused as to why these ideas are tagged as right-wing, because to him, they just make sense. Musk also critiques Harris's handling of border security. He slams her for promising to be strong on border issues, but then not following through with significant actions. Instead of making real changes, he points out that the administration has brought on 88,000 new IRS agents. According to him, many of these agents are focusing on small-scale issues, like going after service workers over tips, which doesn't make sense to him. He highlights this as a failure of the administration to make meaningful reforms, despite their public statements suggesting otherwise. On the flip side, Harris has her own take on the state of the nation, especially concerning the economy when she and Biden took office. She recalls the devastating impact of the pandemic, with over 10 million jobs lost and hundreds of Americans dying every day from COVID-19. Harris blames the economic crisis on Trump's poor management. She points out that the Biden administration made it a priority to turn the economy around. Now she notes inflation is under 3%, and the U.S. is recovering faster than other wealthy nations. However, she admits that prices, particularly for groceries, are still too high, and she pledges to keep working on solving these issues. Harris goes deeper into how rising prices are making life harder for everyday Americans, causing stress for many families as living costs climb. She talks about the administration's actions to fix supply chain problems and improve operations at major ports like Los Angeles, Long Beach, and Savannah. She highlights how the infrastructure bill has helped make these ports more efficient and reduce the backlog of ships waiting to unload. Furthermore, Harris discusses the Build Back Better plan, designed to make life more affordable for working families. This plan aims to lower the costs of childcare, elder care, and preschool education, making these services more accessible to everyone. Harris emphasizes that this plan won't add to the taxpayer's burden because it's fully funded. She shares her conversations with international figures, such as the Minister of Education in France, discussing the global effects of the pandemic on education and childcare. Harris explains how providing universal preschool for 3- and 4-year-olds would significantly help families who can't afford private education, thereby reducing their financial strain. With clear differences in their ideas, Musk and Harris are ready to share their very different plans for America. Musk's plan to end useless rules. In these discussions, both Musk and Harris present contrasting views on the direction they believe the country should take. Musk is clear about his support for Trump and his concerns about Harris's potential presidency leading the country further left. Harris, on the other hand, defends the actions and intentions of the Biden administration, focusing on economic recovery and the steps they are taking to alleviate financial pressures on American families. Each underscores different priorities and solutions, reflecting the broad spectrum of political opinions and strategies in the United States today. Elon Musk is stepping up with a bold suggestion. He thinks we need a new department solely dedicated to cutting out unnecessary regulations. He's all for setting a time limit on laws, proposing that they should automatically expire after a few years unless they're reviewed and reaffirmed. He's particularly critical of the current rules on the environment, which he believes are way too strict and slow down progress. Instead of making people go through hoops to get approvals for their projects, Musk believes we should switch to a simpler system. He suggests that companies should only be fined if something actually goes wrong, not just because they haven't jumped through all the bureaucratic hoops. He thinks this change would speed up big projects significantly and take some of the weight off from the heavy load of regulations. Musk also gives a thumbs up to President Milley's approach, who has been busy trimming down the government by removing entire departments. Musk sees this as a great move and thinks other countries should take a leaf out of Milley's book. He believes that governments everywhere should be constantly asking themselves whether all their departments and regulations are really necessary. On the other hand, Kamala Harris is taking a moment to reflect on what her administration has achieved so far and setting out her vision for the future. She's proud of the Biden administration's focus on creating jobs, making big investments in infrastructure, clean energy, and tech sectors like chip production. She's happy to report that inflation is now under 3%, making the U.S. economy one of the strongest in the world. However, Harris is aware that despite these successes, many Americans might not yet feel the impact of these improvements in their everyday lives. She's committed to continuing to work on lowering living costs and improving the overall quality of life for working families. Harris is particularly focused on supporting the middle class. She talks up the achievements under the Biden administration and is eager to build on these if she's elected president. She dreams of creating what she calls an opportunity economy, an economy where everyone, no matter their start in life, has a real chance to succeed. She wants to break down barriers that make it tough for people to start their own businesses or move up in their careers. She plans to cut through the clutter of unnecessary bureaucracy, reduce the maze of regulations, and promote innovative technologies, all while keeping consumers safe and providing a stable environment for businesses with clear rules. Harris also wants to get labor unions, small businesses, and big corporations together to invest in America. She's aiming to create good jobs that lead to broad economic growth and ensure that America continues to be a global leader. She thinks it's crucial for Argentina's success that President Milley's policies are supported. She believes that if Milley's plans go forward without interference, Argentina will experience significant economic growth and a level of prosperity and optimism that hasn't been seen in 100 years. From what she's seen and read, Milley is making all the right moves, and she encourages the people of Argentina to support him fully and see this experiment through, especially since past policies haven't worked out. The discussion moves to international issues, as Harris speaks about the conflict between Israel and Gaza with a clear opinion. Harris fights for the middle class. Harris also touches on international conflicts, specifically the situation between Israel and Gaza. She clarifies that there are no plans to send combat troops to either place. She condemns the violent actions of Hamas, which have led to the deaths of hundreds of young people, including at least 1,400 Israelis. While she affirms Israel's right to defend itself, she stresses the importance of not lumping all Palestinians together with Hamas. Harris believes that Palestinians deserve the same levels of safety, security, self-determination, and dignity as anyone else. She insists that the rules of war must be respected and that humanitarian aid must continue to reach those who need it. For Harris, the middle class is a key part of America's strength. She pledges to protect fundamental principles that support a good life, a salary that provides a decent standard of living, the ability to retire in comfort after a lifetime of work, and the right to join a union if desired. Strengthening the middle class is a central goal for her, because she believes that when the middle class thrives, so does the whole country. If you think about the government like it's the biggest business around, you'll see it has a monopoly, a total hold on certain services. It's so big that it can't really fail unless the whole country goes down with it. Normal businesses, though, they can go under if they make bad stuff or mess up big time. But the government, it keeps on ticking, even if it's not doing its job well. For example, look at the Department of Motor Vehicles, or DMV. Everyone knows how slow and frustrating it can be there. Now imagine if they started making cars. Not a comforting thought, right? That's because if a government service is bad, you can't just go to a competitor like you can in the business world, where having a choice helps make things better because companies have to compete to win you over. This is a big reason why many people believe the government should only handle the basics. The less it's involved in, the better, because then it can't mess up too much in areas it shouldn't even be involved in to begin with. Now, over the next few weeks, I'm planning to talk more about building an economy that gives people more chances to succeed. But today I want to focus on something that's really hitting everyone hard: the cost of living. It's something that's on a lot of people's minds right now. Families all over are sitting down to figure out their budgets and how they'll manage in the future. There are so many bills to think about. You've got your regular groceries, your rent or mortgage, gas for the car, clothes for when the kids go back to school, and not to mention medical stuff like prescriptions. It adds up quick, and for a lot of folks, there's barely anything left once all the bills are paid. I grew up in a family that was pretty much middle class, and for most of my childhood, we were renting. My mom saved up for over 10 years to buy a house, and I still remember how happy she was when we finally got it. Later on, when I was in college, I worked at McDonald's to earn some extra cash. A lot of the people I worked with there were trying to support their families on those paychecks. Some even had to work 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet. When you see the cost of living going up, it hits these families the hardest. When I'm elected president, my main goal is going to be about lowering these costs and making sure everyone can feel a bit more secure financially. During the pandemic, we saw prices go through the roof because supply chains, the systems that bring goods from where they're made to where they're sold, got all messed up. Even though things are starting to get better with the supply chains, the prices for everyday things like bread and ground beef have shot up by about 50% from what they were before everything went sideways. With prices rising and budgets tight, Harris and Trump suggest very different plans that could affect millions of families. Big business wins, families suffer. It's tough because while some big companies in the food industry are making more money than ever, not all stores are giving those savings back to the shoppers. Most businesses play by the rules, but there are always a few that look to take advantage. That's not fair, and we need to do something about those that don't play fair. We are seeing some progress in getting prices down, but it's a slow process. Still, things are looking up, and making life easier for American families is my top priority. Back when I was Attorney General in California, I went after companies that were jacking up prices illegally, and I managed to win back over $1 billion for consumers. My plan is to bring in tougher penalties for companies that take advantage of emergencies to break the rules. We also want to help smaller food companies that are doing the right thing by making it easier for them to compete. This kind of competition is good. It drives prices down and is great for everyone. Then you have the plan from Donald Trump. He wants to put a national sales tax on all sorts of basic stuff we buy from other countries. This means everything from gas and food to clothes and common medicines would get more expensive. Economists think this plan could cost an average family about $3,900 more each year. That's a lot of money, especially when prices are already too high. Addressing the steep healthcare costs will be a major priority for me. As a former Attorney General, I challenge both insurance and pharmaceutical companies to reduce their high charges. Together with President Biden, we've taken even more significant steps to lower these prices. One of our notable achievements is fixing the cost of insulin at $35 per month, which is a significant relief for those managing diabetes. Furthermore, we've introduced a limit on the annual medication expenses for seniors, ensuring they don't spend over $2,000. Additionally, we've empowered Medicare with the ability to negotiate drug prices directly, which has resulted in reductions of up to 80% on some crucial medications. This ability to reduce drug prices is transformative, especially for the elderly who often have fixed incomes and face multiple health challenges. The financial relief from these caps can mean the difference between financial distress and manageable living expenses. It's not just about making medications affordable, it's about making life more livable for our seniors who have contributed so much to our society. We've also worked on broader healthcare reforms to ensure that more Americans can afford their medical needs without going bankrupt. High healthcare costs don't just affect the individual, they have a ripple effect through families and communities. When people can afford their medications, they are healthier, can work, and contribute positively to the economy. This broader perspective is crucial in understanding why we push so hard for these reforms. Turning to the topic of social media, platforms like X, formerly known as Twitter, have revolutionized the way we interact with information. In the past, misinformation could spread without much challenge, but now the community of users on platforms like X can immediately counteract false statements. This immediate response is crucial in maintaining an informed public. The feature on X called Community Notes is particularly innovative. It allows users to flag information as incorrect, but it requires agreement from a diverse group of people. This consensus building helps prevent the misuse of the feature for partisan purposes and maintains a level of integrity in the discussions taking place. This real-time fact-checking is vital in our fast-paced world, where news breaks in seconds and spreads even faster. Misinformation can cause real-world harm, so having a tool that allows the community to vet information collectively helps keep everyone safer and more informed. The goal here is not just to correct wrongs, but to foster a culture of accountability and truth. Moreover, these platforms provide a space for dialogue and understanding. When people from different backgrounds and with different viewpoints can discuss and debate openly, it enriches the conversation. It helps break down barriers and builds a more cohesive society. We need this now more than ever, in a world where divisions seem to be deepening. Promoting accurate information and respectful dialogue can bridge these divides. Could Elon Musk's warning about the future leadership of America be a wake-up call, or is it just another opinion in a crowded political landscape? Will the next president truly shape the safety of the world? Tell us what you think, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.